best advice?
My advice is to be who you are in every situation. I believe that that allows us to live our best life. And I believe that that allows us to live smarter, not harder. Because when you're faking it, when you're creating a persona, when you're being who you think people want you to be, that's work.
Welcome to the Rogue L&D Hot Shots podcast, a short podcast allowing you to meet some of the brilliant folk driving people performance and development forward in an informal and human way. My name's Tom Bailey, award-winning L&D leader and passionate maverick for all things development. Join me as I ask just 10 questions of some of the industry's most innovative and interesting people. Tell us about yourself.
Well, hello. I am Kevin M. Yates, and I am known in the training, learning, and talent development industry as the L&D Detective. And so I actually wear two hats. In addition to working as the L&D Detective, I am also president and founder of Meals in the Meantime, which is a 501c3 nonprofit. We help people who need food with pop-up food pantries. So, when I think about it, I'm making impact in two areas, right? I'm making impact in the world of L&D by helping people measure the extent to which their training and learning programs are contributing to workplace performance. And I'm also making an impact with people who need help with food with my nonprofit Meals in the Meantime. So that's just a little bit about me and who I am and what I do.
What are you passionate about?
The L&D detective work that I do, I am very passionate about. I am definitely passionate about the work that I'm doing to help people who need food. But from a professional perspective, I am super engaged, super interested, super committed to helping training, learning, and talent development professionals figure out how to investigate the extent to which their training programs and their learning solutions are measurably contributing to human performance and business performance. I believe it's an important thing to do. When I started this work a few years ago, it ignited a spark in me, and it started a fire, and that fire continues to burn even today. I believe that it is important that we have a credible, reliable way in which to measure the contribution of our efforts. And so I'm just excited and very passionate about showing training, learning, and talent development organizations and L&D practitioners the L&D detective method for investigating training and learning's contribution to workplace performance. I'm very passionate about that, if you can't tell.
What's the best L&D you've seen?
So I think that, as I think about my experiences, the work that I have done, I think that, well, there's a lot of experiences that, come to the top of my mind as I think about that. Um, some years ago, I worked for an organization where I was part of a team. I was leading a team that created an immersive training, learning, and talent development experience. At that particular time, we were able to create an onboarding program that was actually a month long. It was 30 days. And we immersed those trainees, and it was a new hire. We immersed those new hires in a training program that actually replicated the work that they were going to do at their respective client sites. And that was an amazing, very successful program, particularly because we received feedback from the clients that these new hires would go to working on their accounts. The clients would give feedback to say, you did an optimal job at preparing the workers who are supporting my business. And I think that it was successful because it was immersive and because there was enough time to devote to preparing these new hires to do the work that they were going to do. So it was pretty unique, again, in that it was 4 weeks of dedicated, concentrated time for professional development, helping people prepare for their role. So there were no distractions because they were actually new hires from different parts of the country, and they all came to Chicago for 4 weeks to be immersed and learn through this very extensive onboarding program. And it was successful. It was very successful. And so I am very excited to have been a part of that program, to have led it, to have had a hand in design and facilitation. So that is amongst some of the best experiences that I've had in training, learning, and talent development.
Favorite hand gesture?
I do, and I'm known for it. And if you take a look a lot, you take a look at a lot of my pictures, you're going to see my favorite hand gesture, and my favorite hand gesture is a thumbs up.
One thing you didn't learn?
That's a great question, and I recall a time where I needed to learn how to use Tableau. And I didn't have the luxury of being able to go to like a training or to a class to learn how to use Tableau. So it was literally a hands-on learning experience in every sense of the word. And so made a few mistakes, made a few errors, and it was through the mistakes and the errors that I actually learned. And so I recall on that time as where I just needed to learn something really fast, quick, and in a hurry without any formal training to support it. And as I look back on it, it was a good experience because I just had to learn through trial and error. And isn't that much like life, right? So much of what we learn in life, we learn through trial and error. And so when I needed to learn how to use Tableau, um, similarly, it was through trial and error. And so that would be an example of when I had to learn something without any formal learning.
Proudest moment?
Wow. Again, there are so many moments where I am proud of the work that I have done. I think that one of the moments that kind of rises to the top for me, I had a very proud moment when I conducted a test group, control group analysis. And what we were looking to demonstrate is the difference that training and learning made in people's performance on the job, right? And it was a social media company that I was working for, and I was supporting the sales group. So there was a training program that was in place, and we really wanted to have a credible, reliable way in which to not only demonstrate the difference that training made, but really take a look at where there's opportunity to improve and enhance training, learning, and talent development. So we had one group of people who had gone through the training program, another group of people who did not. And so we were able to use test group, control group analysis to compare and contrast the difference in the two groups' performance. The only difference being that one group got training and the other didn't. It was a very powerful study. It was a study that rolls up to the top in terms of visibility, even to senior leaders. And so it was a very credible, scientific, reliable way to demonstrate the impact that training and learning made on people's performance. And so I'm very, very proud of that work. It sticks out in my head even to this day.
Worst experience in L&D?
Yeah, my worst experience. Well, there was an organization that I was working with where I didn't quite get the ability to listen and hear correctly, right? So I was asked to create a plan for, at that particular time, what was going to be a corporate university. And there was a senior leader who asked me to create that plan. What I didn't do a good job at was really honing in and zeroing in on this particular leader's expectations. And so when it came time for me to present my recommendations to that senior leader and his team, I didn't get it right because I didn't dive in enough with the questions and with the discovery that I should have engaged in with that senior leader to really hear and determine what he wanted. And so I really missed the beat with that. And that has really stuck with me. Um, but I learned from that experience, and that's always what's important, right? And so what I've learned is the importance of engaging in discovery to the length that is needed in order to meet the needs of those who are requesting a service or requesting a product. That was a message that really stuck with me, and I've carried that with me even until today. That time for discovery is important; it's critical, and you can't shorten that. As a way to be sure that you are meeting specific needs in terms of working on projects and making sure that you are clear about the goal. I think that you have to allow time for discovery. And so that was my lesson learned. So based on that lesson learned, I turned a bad situation into a good situation by carrying that with me forward and making sure that I am giving and lending enough time to discovery.
Best celebrity moment.
Yeah, well, mine is interesting, and it was kind of indirectly meeting a celebrity. So, a few years ago, I was in New York with my college roommate, and we were out having dinner. And so behind me was a celebrity couple, right? And my roommate, my college roommate, he was facing the celebrity couple, so I couldn't see who was behind me. So we're eating, having dinner, and then he looks up and he says, "Kevin, don't turn around. Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown are behind you." And so after he said, "Don't turn around," you know what I did, right? I turned around. and right behind me was Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown having dinner. I mean, and it was very close because it was kind of a tight restaurant, but that's as close as I have come to a celebrity moment. I didn't say anything because I didn't want to disrupt their dinner. But that is my celebrity sighting experience.
Something not many people know about you.
I think a lot of people would be surprised to find that I am an introvert. And I think that people would be surprised to find that out because, when I am out in the world at speaking engagements and leading workshops and doing different things with different organizations and teams, I try to be very animated. I try to be very engaging. I really try to pull people into the discussion and the conversation. But I am an only child, right? And so more often than not, I kind of retreat to my only childness when I can. And so a lot of people are surprised to find that I am selectively social. And again, I am definitely an introvert at heart. And so I think that because of, who people see when I'm on stage, they would be very surprised to hear that I am an introvert, definitely.
Best advice.
My best advice is to live in authenticity because living in duality is too much work, right? So I talk a little bit about how there is a side of me that is animated, that is engaging, that feeds off of the energy from the crowd. And so when I am in front of a crowd, I'm not faking it. Again, that is a part of who I am. I am not creating a persona for the sake of what I do. Because if I were to do that, that would just be too much work because then I would, in essence, be portraying someone who I am not. And so my advice is to be who you are in every situation. I believe that that allows us to live our best life. And I believe that that allows us to live smarter, not harder. Because when you're faking it, when you're creating a persona, when you're being who you think people want you to be, that's work, right? But when you are just being who you are, that's easy to do. So again, my advice and my recommendation is to, again, be who you are, show up as who you are, live in authenticity because living in duality is just way too much work.
Thank you to our guest and to you for listening. If you want to boost the impact of your organization's people development practices, I'd love to connect. You can find me at thomasbailey.co. Alternatively, you can look me up on LinkedIn.